Started. Yo, yo. Yo, peace everyone. Salam. Shibra cool. Alright. Alright, y'all. So this is part 2 from yesterday's live. We was going in on the 103 facts. We was diving in on the 103 facts about Black Indians. So that's what we will be continuing. We'll be continuing from that portion. Let me hop online real quick. Okay. Let's get some stuff. Man. I'll pull it up. Alright. No. Oh no. Guess I need to reopen that door. I got Dragonfly up here. What's up? What's up, little girl? We're just gonna pull up some stuff. Ay. Some recreational reading. Bam. So let's go back. Boom. All right. That's looking good. Seems like everybody can see that nice and clear. Okay. All right. So yesterday, if y'all didn't get the memo, I left off from fact number 42. So that's what we're gonna continue off on. Okay. See if I can make it bigger. There we go. Okay. So from 42, Black Indians were not conquered by Europeans or the so-called white man. Black Indians had a rich history of intertribal warfare amongst each other that continued before and after European arrival. You good, girl? You good? Okay. Before and after European arrival. The intertribal warfare that existed amongst Black Indians in the Western Hemisphere was so great that it left them in a state of impotency. With impotency setting in after years and years of clan warfare, in addition to the attraction of European trinkets, customs, and traditions, and the worshiping of the god named Jesus, all assisted in paving the way for European occupancy of Black Indian lands, their spirits, and their minds. Okay? 43. Islam. So, I'm 43, and I will say reading this book gave me a lot of clarity and perspective on where we stand as Moors. Alright, real clear perspective as to where we stand as Moors. Where your binky at, huh? Where'd it go? Where did it go? Did it fall? Let me see. Did it fall inside? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Okay. 43. Islam, Sister Gina, Islam, Brother Bebe Kid, and Islam, Brother Abdil. What's going on with y'all? All right. 43. After the colonial government was established, America, Black Indian nations continued to aid the new colonial government with military assistance on other Black Indian nations that fought against European expansion and the taking of their ancestral lands. So you see, it was us fighting us who was helping the Europeans take over us. It was all us. All us. Even going down to the Europeans, but I don't need to say too much. I'm just going to read. We're just going to read. I don't need to add any more extra commentary, right? So let's go. 44. General Mad Anthony Wayne, aka the Black Snake, was a Black Indian who served under the George Washington administration. The army of General Anthony Wayne consisted of mostly black Indians in the ranks, as did the entire colonial government army. Besides black Indians making up the bulk of the new colonial government army or American army, Moors also filled up the ranks. George Washington George Washington established treaties or contracts with various black Indian nations, as well as with the Moors, for military support against other black Indian nations who did not support the occupancy of the new colonial government, known as America. Right? The New World. America is the name for the New World. Now that we understand. All right? So majority of us betrayed ourselves and joined in with the so-called Europeans who were us, our cousins, you know what I'm saying, who had intentions on trying to take over our ancestral lands. So it's cold, man. It's cold. What up? Islam, everybody. So this is cold as ice, man. Like, we was foul to each other, and we still being foul to each other today. And we trying to, and it makes us look even silly to even look at so-called Caucasian people today, be like, oh, it's your fault, it's the white man's fault. What? We need to grow the hell up, man, and take responsibility for the actions of our ancestors, because we're reliving the same shit they did back then. They was warm with each other. Aren't we warm with each other now? We still doing that same dumb shit. Even when we conscious, we still doing that same dumb shit. Warring with each other. This is what I always come back to. Where do you stand? If you make a treaty, that means there's two sides. Both sides aren't in alignment. It means there's two opposing sides. They're trying to make a treaty to come to a middle ground. So which side of that treaty do you stand on? You know what I'm saying? And this book right here is letting us know factually that majority of the colonial government known as America was encompassed of our own people who was beefing with us, who didn't want to deal with the Caucasians, but they were beefing with us and they wanted to take over some of our stuff. So they was like, you know what, since we have something in common, we'll group with you guys since we know the lays out of the land, and we'll help you in removing our cousins off of their land and taking over their stuff. That's foul, man. That's hella foul. And we did that to each other. Whether you want to call us black Indians, you want to call us Moors, whatever. We were foul as hell. And as a matter of fact, once we get through this to 103, I'm going to go back to the 30s. All right? In case you wasn't with us yesterday. I'm going to go back to the 30s. And that's breaking down who the hell Moors are, y'all. No question. No doubt. What book? Let me make it small again now. This book is called 103 Amazing Facts About the Black Indian of the Western Hemisphere. All right. This book is 250,000 notes if you look at it on Amazon right now. All right. If you want this book, I have no problem sharing it with you. Just hit me in the email. As a matter of fact, I'll type the email here. Just email me at Sunel. You know what I mean? Just Sunel University. I already put it in the chat. Just hit me up. And if you're interested in the book, just put it in the subject and I will email it to you. All right. This book is about you, so I don't see no point in trying to charge. The European Ray trying to put 250,000 notes on this book to keep us from knowing stuff. So I ain't about to do the same foolery stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is your information. So if you want this, just ask and be prepared to receive. Now, we're going to go where we at. Okay? So I'll make this big again. I'll make this big again. Okay, boom. After the colonial government, all right, we're at 46. Google AdSense?
Yeah, can you add money to that?
No. No, you can't. What's up? You want to chill and sit? You want to relax with Dad? You want to come up from the come up? Fat baby. Fat baby. Fat baby. There we go. You want to read with Daddy? Okay. That's a big boy too. Big ass wasp. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to deal with an ancestor right now. Put you down for a second, little girl. Okay. You want to sit there? Let Daddy do his thing. Get this bad boy out of here without killing it. Go. Done deal. And that's how you remove, bugs and stuff, creepy crawly things without killing them. All right, I don't like to kill things just because they look different. You heard? I don't like to kill things just because they look different. Okay. Back. We back. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Anyone wants a copy, email me. I'll be more than happy. All right. 46. After the colonial government, America confiscated most black Indian lands. They, the colonial government, refused to pay black Indian warriors pensions for their military support. So you see, even those who betrayed our own, they got crossed over at the end. You know what I'm saying? From the European, because the European promised. Okay, you're fine, baby. The Europeans got us. The Europeans got us to pretty much play ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So not only did we were beefing with each other, some of us joined the Europeans because we were beefing. We had so much hate for one another that we was like, yo, I hate my family as much as you hate them. So let's both put our energy together and remove them from these lands. And those who betrayed us really thought that the Caucasians or Europeans weren't going to do the same to them. So look what happened, because they promised them a whole bunch. Yeah, you be a part of this government. You'll have you'll have pension. You'll have this if you support us in the war. And look what happened. After the colonial government, known as America, confiscated most black Indian lands, they, the colonial government, refused to pay black Indian warriors pensions for their military support. So they betrayed us for free, and they still ain't get what they wanted. That's called karma. All right? Now, what I can say is we were on all sides of the war. We were all of it and none of it at the same time, yo. There's really no one else to blame, even till this day. Now I know for a fact, whoever's running this scheme or this game of how things are set up now, it is not the Caucasians calling the shots. It is a melanated sister or a melanated brother. It's a Moor that's still betraying us, still trying to keep us in a state of psychological confusion to steal our birthrights. It's our own people trying to steal our own shit. Don't y'all see that? It ain't got nothing to do with the so-called white men. Nothing. 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 Let's go. 47. During the American Civil War, black Indians joined the Confederate Army in hopes of winning to secure what little ancestral lands they had left. During the American Civil War, black Indians joined the Confederate Army in hopes of winning to secure what little ancestral lands they had left. 48. Other black Indians joined the Union side of the American Civil War. So you had the Confederate side, and then you had the Union side. Which side did you stand on? Were you a traitor to the Moorish Empire? Because if you was a traitor to the empire, then you was on the Union side. If you were for the empire, you was on the Confederate side, which the Confederate side being the Iroquois nation. Iroquois, which was still Moors, us. But y'all ain't hearing though. Whether I say it, whether we see it in a book that's worth 250,000 notes right now, if you look it up on Amazon. Why would they make this book so expensive? Why? So you don't know. This is how you know now only elite people know this. Only elite. But we'll keep on going. Peace, peace, everyone. What's up, Brother Fahim? Going on. Islam. So, other black Indians joined the Union side of the American Civil War. Civil War to fight for their own objectives as well. One of those objectives being seeking prosperity within the American system, or we should say seeking prosperity within the colonial system. Yeah, I'm doing a lot. What's up? Hey.
So I'm gonna send the link.
Already. She did her first consultation today. I'm so proud of her. Yes. Yay.
Oh yeah.
Yay. Well, I'm going to finish out the rest of the 103 facts and then we can go about our day.
I know how long will it take because like I have to come down here, and so I'm just trying to find out. Will you still be doing this when I come down?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a little on. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think the blue robe is upstairs. No.
It is. I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. She did her first consultation today. I'm so proud of her, dude. Trying to wake other Moors up, man. I told you it's a powerful thing when women know what's up, and then you know what I mean. Like the greatest messages I got was from watching women, the Moabites. You know what I'm saying? Give that knowledge. That's click, and of course the brothers just fill in. They fill in those spots the women ain't catching. It's beautiful though, man. I'm proud of her for that. That's what's up. Ain't about me, man. I want everybody to go and get this knowledge. Shoot. I bet. Right. One of those objectives being seeking prosperity within the American system or within the colonial system. All right. So now we got to put American with colonial. This is why they didn't keep it as Morocco. They changed it from Morocco to America. Okay. That's where the term America comes from. Morocco, Al-Marak. Or Estados Americanos, American states. You'll find that term in the treaty. Estados Americanos. Al-Maricanos. Okay? But look at this here. This is Morocco, the Maghreb al-Aqsa, the extreme west. What they got us in today is a colonial system known as America. A colonial system. Man. So this is what those who betrayed us, and I don't even know. I might have been the one who betrayed my damn self, and I'm coming back to right the wrong. You know what I'm saying? But those of us who betrayed ourselves, or those of us who played ourselves, how about that one? Those of us who played ourselves, all right, we played ourselves to try to get a foot in a colonial system that was not ours. Nick Jack, also known as Nigger Jack, was a black Chickamauga. Chickamauga. Chickamauga, a black Indian. Okay? This ancestor led raids against the colonial rebel army, the Americans. Colonial rebel army, the Americans. Some of us Moors were joined on that Union side, meaning we were part of that colonial rebel army against ourselves. We played ourselves, yo. Don't be mad because we played ourselves. We gotta smell our bullshit. All right? Colonial rebel army. During the colonial rebel uprising, which is known as the American Revolutionary War. So he fought alongside of the British Tories. His hideout was a cave in the vicinity of what is now known as Chattanooga, Tennessee. In the state of Georgia, in the region known as Cobb County, there is a park, a road, and a creek named after this great warrior. So if you live or if you're domiciling in Georgia territory, do some research on on the park, the road, and the creek that is named after Nickajack. So I'm pretty sure there's a Nickajack Road, a Nickajack Park, and a Nickajack Creek. Check that out. And then also, if you're in Tennessee, check out Chattanooga, which is the hideout of Nickajack, who was a black Chickamauga Indian. And this person led raids against colonial rebel army, meaning this person was defending the honor of our birthright and our ancestors. This is an ancestor that fought and died for us. They were fighting for our freedom to remain who we were, which is Moors. Nickajack. So, man, this stuff gets deep. Islam, family. Let's keep on going. Amen. There were thousands upon thousands of black Indians who fought in the American Civil War and in wars before and after this war. We was beefing before the Europeans got here. We was beefing after. Okay? Who were black Indians or native to the Western Hemisphere region, but were oblivious to this fact. So that means you had a war, right? The American Civil War, where you had thousands upon thousands of black Indians who were fighting in this war. Some were on the Union side, some were on the Confederate side. All were Moors. They look like us. We're all in our natural garb. We're just, whatever tribes we're a part of, we have our own agendas. And the agenda essentially is to fuck our brother and sister over. Take our brother and sister shit. Move our brother and sister from what's rightfully theirs. So therefore, if you can't acknowledge your own brother and sister birthright, you're going to lose your own by default. So that's what I mean when I say we played ourselves. We thinking, we just going to jack our cousins or our brother and sister for their stuff, and then we ain't going to lose our stuff in the process because their stuff is our stuff. So if we're taking their stuff, we're taking our own stuff. We played ourselves. So I'm looking at this American Civil War now, and I'm like, yo, this right here is the big-ass play yourself war. This is the war we played ourselves in, yo. We played ourselves so heavily in this war that we got, man, we really bumped our head. This thing right here backlashed on us super bad. Anyway, all right, so not only were they in this war, but they were warring like this before the war, and they're warring like this after the war was over. Okay? Whether they were black Indians, which is Moors, or native to the Western Hemisphere region, or native or native, meaning they were born there but not necessarily have blood ties. So native could have been like the European or the Caucasian people, the Mongoloid people that we call natives today, could have been them, all right, to the Western Hemisphere region, but were oblivious to the fact, meaning we was fighting in a war and we don't even know who the hell we are. No knowledge of self. They only thought themselves to be Negroes. Their parents and their parents' parents, who had lost the knowledge of themselves, their tribal identity, in all honesty, simply passed on to the next generation the colonized title of Negro to their children. Thus, an unbroken chain of ignorance continues to survive. My people suffer for a lack of knowledge. And if you look up what's a lack of knowledge? Ignorance. My people suffer for a lack of not knowing something. What is it? What is that thing you don't know that's making you suffer so much? And suffer in law means to consent. So what is it that you don't know that's making you consent to so many bad contracts? What is it you don't know? You don't know who you are. You don't know your own tribal. You don't know your own tribal identity. You don't have an identity. You don't know who you are. That's the knowledge that you are suffering from, that you have lacking. Who the hell are you? Because I'm gonna tell you, when 2020 come around, right? The Census Bureau is gonna do an investigation on the origins of black people and African Americans. We have 50, right? I'm gonna go back to the first one. In 2020, the Census Bureau is gonna do an investigation on the origins of black people, African Americans. What does it say right here? Fact number 1, black Indians have lived in the Western Hemisphere since time immemorial. Number 2, black Indians were not spawned or created as a result of Africans coming to the Western Hemisphere during the transatlantic slave trade, mixing in with native people of the Western Hemisphere region. That didn't happen, y'all. Native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, also known as Indians, did not refer to themselves or their ancestors as Indian. We use the word Indian since most people are accustomed to this title. The word Indian, Red Man, and Native American are European colonized terms. Native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere refer to themselves by way of tones, vibrations of expression. Yo. Hey. Let's just go back to 50. But before we do that, hold on. We want to bring some clarity. We want to bring this, man. Right. The year before, government makes state ID obsolete. So you better have some self-identification. All right. That speaks to who the hell you are. Because no state ID and no driver's license is going to do that for you. Nothing. And I ain't going to do that for you. Self. Only self can let others know who self is. Period. Here we go. But this is what people have to know. Most so-called black Americans, right? This is for the African Americans who are going to be under that investigation in 2020, right? Because I tell you what, if I need to be interviewed, it's going to be fun, all right? But I ain't going to be the one in that system. But if I were to be interviewed, it's fun, all right? Fun. That'll be a fun conversation. Fun. Most so-called black Americans, this is fact number 28, right? Most so-called black Americans or so-called African Americans find it difficult to accept themselves as being native or indigenous to the Western Hemisphere because of programmed, fabricated images of native people in the Western Hemisphere. Fake images of their own indigenous ancestors has been routinely drilled into their psyche since birth. The black Indian image does not register within their psyche because of the fake imagery programming that the U.S. government has instilled in their minds. of how native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere look. The spirit of so-called Black Americans or so-called African Americans tells them one thing, while the programmed fake image of their own ancestors says another. This all leads to inner conflict. Okay? All of it. Go. We go. 32. Matter of fact, let me hit 31 before we go get back into the 50s. During the time of Pangea, a Greek word that means all one, all of the continents on the planet Earth were one mass of land. People lived and thrived during the time of Pangea. This is a large explanation as to why pyramid builders in the Eastern Hemisphere and pyramid builders in the Western Hemisphere have cultures that are incredibly synonymous. The continents continue to move. We're still moving. Some move 4 inches a year. The continents will one day become one mass of land again. The continents are currently separated at this time. However, the genetic link of beings from Pangea never parted. 32. The term Moor was applied to dark-skinned, brown-skinned, and reddish-brown-skinned people who were not only indigenous to Europe, but to West and North Africans. Even Black Indians of the Western Hemisphere were also dubbed with this title. No more confusion. No more confusion. Cut the confusion. Cut the confusion. Moor is a global title, a galactical title. Understand that. 33. Indigenous Black Celtics, Indigenous Black Britons, Indigenous Black Portuguese, and Indigenous Black Spaniards, all also known as Moors. Let me say that one more time. Indigenous Black Celtics, Indigenous Black Britons, Indigenous Black Portuguese, and Indigenous Black Spaniards, all also known as Moors, had a long time knowledge of indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere. These Moors were well informed of the different customs, traditions, and languages of the natives of the Western Hemisphere. So once again, those were our cousins in Europe, but we didn't do the same thing. We family though, but we bang with each other like that. We meet eye to eye on all things. Okay? These dark-skinned Europeans, Moors, were used as buffers by pale-skinned Europeans to help colonize the New World. These indigenous Black Europeans, aka Moors, not only solicited the New World to pale-skinned Europeans, but also waged war on indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere. Do you see what our cousins did? Yes, Europeans did it, but dark-skinned Europeans, Moors, did that to us over here. Our own. Now, certain Black indigenous Europeans, aka Moors, that went under such titles as clergy and European nobility shared a common consciousness with pale-skinned Europeans. So they had something in common. Those that accepted the title of clergymen, which would be like, the priest, right? And European nobility, that common consciousness being that the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, were untamed, heathen savages. So this is what our cousins thought about us. We just gotta accept that, man. We're not here to please everyone. We're not here for everybody to like us, yo. But we are here to be respected, to be appreciated, and to be left alone to live in peace. So it don't matter how they thought about us. It became a problem when they actually started bringing foreigners, as well as themselves, with the intentions of jacking our shit. That's when we have a problem. It don't matter if we blood or not. That is a problem. That's lack of respect. All right. That's a lack of respect for life. Okay? And then vice versa. When you saw that there were those who wanted to break away from King George, they wanted to break away from the brutish Moors or the Great Britain or the Moors, right? The dark Europeans. They saw how we lived, and they saw that we lived different from how the brutish or the Britons lived, or those Moors lived. So that's why they wanted to rock with us. That's why they wanted to break away from Europe, from King George, or from New England, all right, which is the 13 colonies. So yeah, pull the covers off, man. Shoot, take some snapshots. You know what I'm saying? Now, both dark-skinned and pale-skinned Europeans who were either Celtic, Briton, Gaelic, or what have you, who were fleeing religious persecution in Europe and were struggling to preserve ancient traditional customs, dubbed pagan ways, upon arrival to the New World, ran to the bosom of black Indian nations, indigenous to the Western Hemisphere soil, who still held on to and were practicing traditional spirituality. Both cultures were different. However, both were able to relate to each other's gods. Black Indian nations and different clans native to Europe both shared a common spirituality that centered around the forces of nature and the honoring of the ancestral spirits. So those are the ones that was breaking away from King George's reign in Europe, because they saw that we shared a commonality. You know what I'm saying? Both of our gods were practicing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Both of our gods believed in equality for all beings. Both of our gods believed in respect for nature and respect and a dedication to honoring those who came before us, maintaining that holy covenant, which you'll find in Exodus 20:12 in any Bible. All right, honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days on the earth land may be long and plentiful, that thy Lord thy God giveth thee. All right, so those were the things we found in common, and we was willing to help them break away from Britain for those causes. All right, but then some dumb things happened where they went back and took out a loan after they already claimed their freedom, and they went right back at square one again. Hey, now certain Moors. It didn't say Moors. It didn't say all Moors. It says certain Moors. You know why? Because even though we're all Moors, there's going to be some certain motherfuckers in the group that just ain't with it. And that's just the reality of things. We're not all going to agree on one thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just not going to happen. And you can't force people to do that. Everyone has a free will and their own perspective. So we got to think like that. Just because we see one Moor do something don't mean that it means all Moors are doing the same thing. So I'm very happy about how specifically written this is. Certain Moors helped to navigate Christopher Columbus's voyage to the New World. He was not lost, y'all. He knew exactly where he was going simply because of who was on the boat with him. Common sense. Right? So, we recognize our cousins. We trust them to a certain degree. They come on the land. Hey, yo, this dude's rolling with us. You know what I'm saying? That was Columbus. So Columbus got here through, he was brought here through under protection. He didn't just come on his own and just started doing shit on the land. No, he got the okay on behalf of our cousins who brought his ass over here with the intentions of stealing our shit. I cannot emphasize that enough. And I'm not emphasizing that so that we could be mad, so we can hate, so we can do ignorant things. No, I'm being adamant about that so we can let it go. Let it go. Let go of the white man did this to me. The white man did that. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. If you want to be mad at someone, look yourself in the mirror. because we're the ones that did it to ourselves. We played ourselves. We played ourselves. So that was it. Okay? So it wasn't no accident that Columbus got here. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, if I could find this painting, let me see if I can find this painting real quick. Man, it would be dope if I could find this joint. I'm almost there. I think I got it. Real joint. Let me see. I'm gonna find it. Hold on. Good stuff. Yeah, really, really good stuff. Mm. I'm trying to find this joint. Lord, just bear with me, y'all. It'll be worth it when I can find it. Bam. Told you it'll be worth it when I can find it. Let's see if I get the phone. Yeah. Yeah. That's the full joint right there. Let me see what this one looks like. Nope. That's the one I want. Boom. Let's get the full image of that. Perfect. How perfect. So we got that picture, right?
You still on?
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Check this out. Look at this. All right. This is from the history. Let me pull this down. Y'all can have a look at the website. All right. www.history.com/topics/exploration/exploration of North America. Look at this photo. Okay. Well, now that we got here, let me find the exact. Let me find the photo singular, and we can analyze it. We can analyze it. This should go deep, y'all. It go way, 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 way deep. Look at this. Okay. Let's see if I can see this. Cool. Now, this is supposed to be a painting of Columbus, correct? See the Indians here, right? Don't y'all see the Moors in the background? Y'all don't see the turbans? Y'all don't see the flag? Y'all see that? Y'all don't see the head wraps in the background? Right? Y'all don't see that? But they want you to look at these as the natives, right? These are the natives. Correct. These are the natives. They are not indigenous. Okay? They would be looking like these people here, the ones who are accompanying Columbus. All right? So I'm just showing you how the paintings are adding up to the damn story. Now, the U.S. constitutional government is a plagiarized copy of a black Indian governmental system, the Iroquois Nation. Oh boy, oh boy. The founding fathers did not find anything. And I didn't forget about 50. We still go back. The founding fathers did not find anything. They went to black Indians. The founding fathers did not find anything. They went to black Indians. Iroquois nation seeking assistance to break away from their chief back in England, King George III. And if y'all didn't know, England at the time was what we call the 13 colonies. So look up New England. You'll find out New England is the 13 colonies. So when they were breaking away from the jurisdiction of King George, they were breaking away from the 13 colonies. They weren't actually in Europe. They were right here on the North Atlantic coast. Okay? So they went to black Indians, the Iroquois nation, seeking assistance to break away from their chief back in England, King George III. The Iroquois nation taught them their system of government. So, like I said, we weren't just not doing shit. We had a system of government here that we taught them. And the only part that the so-called founding fathers left out, the only part they left out from what we taught them about our government was the matriarchy. Because black Indian women ruled the Iroquois nation. We need our women to wake back up now. Let me see here. Yeah, we went through all these. After the colonial government. All right. That's cool. We get back to 50. Right? Just wanted to clear up confusion about Moors now. So, 50. There were thousands upon thousands. Oh, we did this one, right? Thousands upon thousands who fought in the American Civil War. Cool. We're going to 51. Most Buffalo soldiers were black Indians, dispatched by the U.S. Army to assist in the colonizing and confiscation of other black Indian lands west of the Mississippi River. Reservation natives who don't know the true history and who are also brainwashed by images feel that the Buffalo soldiers, who are ill mistaken and ill classified as African Americans, helped the paleface drive them off their lands and onto reservations. This last aspect of things, however, is true. In addition to this, one must keep in mind that most reservation natives are hybrid descendants of the true indigenous seed. So this is what I'm saying. They're all our children. So we can't disown them. Otherwise, we're going to deal with the karma. If we don't treat them with equality, we're going to be on the receiving end of that karma. If we don't choose to show love to our children, they won't know how to show it back when they grow up. So what has happened is we've had children, we raised them with no love. And what happened is they grew up and they learned to hate us. And so when they grew up, they pretty much lived out the hate that they have for us because we birthed them or we born them without any love. We just born them with hate and no understanding and name calling, cracker, cave dweller, troglodyte. It's cool to know these things, but then once you see what it is, it's like, yo, they just the damn victims in our own shit. our own shitty ass shit. They got thrown in the middle. Not that it's like a sob story for them, but I'm like, you got to understand where they're at. They didn't cause any of this shit. We were the cause. We were the beginning of all these wars and stuff like that. Had nothing to do with them. They're just victims in this. And then guess what? They used their abuse and their ill mistreatment, and they turned it into their power. You know what I'm saying? They turned our abuse to them into their own power. So I could respect that. You know what I'm saying? And I could learn a lot from that. And I believe all of us other Moors can too, if we would just humble out and just see things for what it is. But gonna keep on going. 52. Many black Indians who fought in the American Civil War, either on the Confederate side or the Union side, were not acknowledged as being indigenous or native. They were acknowledged as being Negroes. So we was both fighting each other with no knowledge of self. Both of us. Union side and the Confederate side. Crazy. Most of the Navajo code talkers who were used to assist the U.S. government in World War II were blue black Indians. The photo and film footage of the black Navajo who participated in this war were carved out of history. The term Negro and colored was not only applied to black Indians to psychologically and spiritually remove them from their lands. These colonized titles were also applied to black Indians who were incorporated into the slave market. 54. 55. Black Indians did slave raids on each other before and after European arrival. Black Indians did slave raids on each other before and after European arrival. So who's to blame? Besides ourselves, man. But you know what I'm saying? But when us as Moors, we choose to love first, they want to say we're practicing the white man's law. But, oh, I'm sorry, the white man plagiarized our shit. Only thing he left out was the matriarchy. Only thing he left out was actually putting women in position of power to have rulership. That's the only thing he didn't do. He was like, nah, I'd rather keep the men on top. Women can be subject to. That's the only thing they took out. Everything else, they was like, I love it. I love how the system is set up. I'm going to take it. I'm going to use it. So that's what happened. So they didn't create anything. Any type of laws, you talking about white man laws, don't forget where they got it from. Don't forget they got it from your genius. But it's the white man law, though. The same white man that didn't defeat us in the war, right? Because we got defeated by our own people who was fighting with the white man, so-called. Okay. Now, that was 55. Black Indians did slave raids on each other before and after European arrival. 56. Black Indians owned other black Indians as slaves. These slaves were also classified as Negroes. You see how, we were calling our own. Like, imagine me, right? Imagine me right now, and I got a black slave next to me, and I'm calling him a Negro. Come here, Negro. Go get me a glass of water, Negro. That's crazy. That is psychologically crazy. To even bear witness to that is crazy. This is the sickness that we have to heal ourselves from. So now I understand why this book is so deep in debt. Right? Man. So that means I could be indigenous in my proper person, and I would own a slave, right, that looked like me. I would know that slave is from here, and I'd still call him out of his name. That's hate for self. So yeah, we deserved everything we got. We deserved it. Actually, we lucky that's all we got, to be honest with you, because we should have got a hell of an ass whooping. Not that we didn't, but if that's all we got, and we still here intact and shit, like, yeah, we are doing stuff, but for the most part, we intact. For those who are intact, yo, we got it good, man. We are all right. We ain't have to spend no damn 2,000 years in caves and shit. I ain't have to do that. I just didn't know who the fuck I was. That still ain't as bad as living in a cave or just being treated as like, you think it's bad for us now being treated as colored peoples. My nigga, we didn't look at them like, yo, they didn't have nothing. We gave them nothing but trauma. You gotta comprehend that. Of all the things we could have gave them an experience of, that shit could have been epic. Where they would be right now and full of love. But we didn't do that. For some reason, we chose not to do that. We chose to just be hateful as hell. So that's what we getting back. We only getting back what we dish out. So, because of the fact we were enslaving each other and calling each other out of our ancient titles, calling each other Negro, right? 57. European writers took advantage of number 56, of fact number 56. They took advantage of the fact that we were enslaving our own people. They took advantage of the fact above to say that Indians owned slaves. Fake European images of so-called Indians were promoted, showing so-called Indians owning slaves. Art paintings were displayed showing distorted images of natives in the Western Hemisphere owning dark-skinned people as slaves, who in most cases were also native. So in their painting, they started whitewashing. So really, if you really look at the painting, it would be a black motherfucker enslaving another black motherfucker. But they whitewashed it. So the black motherfucker that was enslaving the other black motherfucker, they painted him white. Or they painted him pale. So now, to the regular eye, when you look at such a painting, it looks like European enslaving us. Like how they tell the story today. Owning dark-skinned people as slaves, who in most cases were also native. The fake images of indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere, which usually displays them as having pale skin, shows them owning slaves whose skin is always depicted as being dark. Pale-skinned Europeans help to create a consciousness which subliminally says that slaves and Negroes are synonymous. When most people hear or read about a slave, simultaneously the image of a dark-skinned person appears in their mind, which is very true. That is absolutely true. When you think about slave, first thing that comes to your mind is someone that look like me, or someone that look like you. You're not thinking about a Slovakian. You're not thinking about someone from Yugoslavia. You're not thinking about someone from Europe that has a European pedigree. You're not thinking about that, right? You're just thinking about dark-skinned people. By showing fake people skin natives owning dark-skinned people, it helped to create the illusion that so-called Indians and Negroes are two separate races, when in essence, they're the same people. Indians and Negroes are the same people. Divide and conquer, y'all. 58. The U.S. government and U.S. government-sponsored natives. The U.S. government and U.S. government-sponsored natives, those would be the reservation guys again, okay, are preaching a doctrine that says that so-called black people became Indian or native people as a result of acquiring citizenship with different indigenous nations here on Western soil. As to say that no dark-skinned people lived in the Western Hemisphere up until the transatlantic African slave trade. This tactic is exercised in attempts to discredit indigenous black Indians from claiming their true homeland and subliminally supports the ridiculous notion that every dark-skinned person that is interpreted as black is from Africa. So yes, to claim that every dark-skinned person you meet is from Africa is a ridiculous notion. It's ridiculous. You should know that. Silly ass rabbit. 59. Queen Latifah. Remember, what's that? Living Color? In Living Color? Queen Latifah, the rapper and actress, is a black Indian. Most black Indians today refuse to accept that they're indigenous because they have fallen victim to the spell of fake images. If their hair isn't straight or curly and their cheekbones not high, neither their eyes slanted or their skin light or a reddish hue, they just simply decide that they're black from Africa. That was the whole point, y'all, to get you to abandon your birthright. You got to abandon it. So they got to get you to do that by creating a psychological wall in your mind that puts you on the outside of your own story. So you're looking at your own story from third person rather than first person. Like you'll say, oh, and so the Moors, rather than saying, so we did, because we're the Moors. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Now, number 61. Most black Indians of the Western Hemisphere who are falsely labeled as African Americans and Black Americans fought for their civil rights during the 1940s through the 1960s. But see, if they knew who they were, they wouldn't have needed to do that. Civil rights movement wasn't necessary. But see, when you don't know who you are, you wouldn't know things like that. You wouldn't know what's necessary or unnecessary for you because you don't even know who are you. They were not known as black Indians or being indigenous. Some knew others. Some knew. Others didn't. Like if we go to let's say the Martin Luther King time, civil rights era, Martin Luther King knew that we were refugees in our own land. How are you going to be a refugee in your own land? He wasn't a stupid man. He knew what he was saying. So some of us knew. Others didn't. Those who knew and didn't tell us betrayed us. They sold out to try to get a better footing in the American colonial system. That's what happened, y'all. So, they were not known as black Indians or being indigenous. Some knew, others didn't. They went under the cloaking title of Negro, Negro Civil Rights Movement, aka the Black Indian Civil Rights Movement. But that's an oxymoron, right? Yeah, nice. I like that dress.
Hey, little man, you gotta get ready in a minute.
Here we go. Right. Most interstate highways and roads in what is now known as the United States of America used to be at one time black Indian trails and pathways that led to other black Indian towns and black Indian cities. The paths were widened and laced with concrete and renamed as interstate highways by the Pale One. They didn't create anything new. They just added to what was already there because we already had government. We already had ways of, I want to go visit my brothers at the tribe over there. All right, go hop on what they call the highways today, which would really be just roads that were paved. Those are the roads we would trade on. Like, come on, yo. Most cities and towns today in what is now known as the United States of America sit on top of ancient black Indian cities and towns that were there first. Like, for instance, in Washington State, I believe they have about 11 levels. They go about 11 levels underground the city because they built about 11 levels above, right, the first black Indian cities and towns that were there. In most cities and towns in what is now known as the United States of America, there remains hundreds of thousands of black Indians buried under the concrete as a result of casualties of war. St. Louis, Missouri, for all my Moors from who are domiciling in the Missouri territory, St. Louis, Missouri used to be a black Indian city called Cahokia. So are you really in Missouri? Or should you be domiciling in Cahokia. You understand? Cahokia. Cahokia at one time was the largest city north of Mexico, and at one time one of the largest cities in the world, outranking most cities in Europe. Right here at home, our shit was boss mode. Anyway, let's keep on going. I need to see the number for that. Here we go. Okay. So 65. All right. So Cahokia. For all my Moors who are in St. Louis, Missouri, y'all are really in Cahokia. Okay. Okay. Black Indians did not only use paths and trails as a means of transportation on the surface, but also used the underground cave tunnel system. So you see how we got MTA. I don't know if you're from the East Coast. The train. I'm from. I was born and raised in the New York territory, but the MTA, underground, Long Island Railroad, going above ground, underground. We had these things established already. There's nothing new, yo. Nothing new. Right. 67. Black Indians revealed, taught, and navigated Europeans through the underground cave tunnel system. Black Indians revealed, taught, and navigated Europeans through the underground cave tunnel system. So now that you know that Harriet Tubman is a Black Indian, indigenous to the Western Hemisphere here, then it should make perfect sense as to why she would understand the Underground Railroad, where it would lead to, and which places would bring you to freedom. Makes sense now. How would she not know that? Right? 68. Games such as basketball, soccer, and lacrosse originated from Black Indians in the Western Hemisphere. Black Indians played dice games, just as they continue to do on most inner city corners in what is now known as the United States of America. The boxer Muhammad Ali, aka Cassius Clay, is a Black Indian. Black Indians did not always kill each other in war. War used to be carried out by playing games. So rather than me have to kill you in melee combat, we would have, like, I don't know, let's say a basketball tournament or maybe a soccer tournament. You know what I mean? Something like the playoffs. You win the championship. You get the goal. You get the trophy. You get whatever was part of the deal. No lives were lost. We were ill, man. We were ill. That's why Europeans was like, yo, we want to fuck with y'all. Like, y'all ill, man. Y'all come up with creative ways of dealing with issues that don't have to resolve to lives being lost. But we weren't perfect either. Right? During the 16th through the 19th centuries, Black Indians migrated from their ancestral lands in what is now known as North America to much more older ancestral lands in the Mexican, Central, and South American regions. This exodus was a result of both pale skin and dark skin European invasion. So we weren't just invaded by, or we weren't just colonized by pale skin. We got colonized by dark skinned Europeans. We got colonized by our cousins across seas, the Moors. 73. Many Black Indian chiefs were put on annual salaries by different European nations throughout the 16th, 17th, and 1800s. What? Many Black Indian chiefs were put on salary? By different European nations? European nations such as France, Britain, Spain, Portugal, and the Dutch Netherlands paid Black Indian chiefs of the Western Hemisphere a salary for their support in the slave market. European currency, rum, thunder sticks, and a free trip to Europe were all elements that made up this annual salary. Golly, man. You messed up, yo. Many black Indian chiefs were also put on European annual salaries to provide military support for various European nations. European annual salaries were established depending on who you signed treaties with or aligned yourself with. Many black Indian warriors, both females and males, became hired privateers. Privateer is a pirate. All right, for various European nations during the 15th through the 18th centuries, known as warriors on water or thugs on water. These black Indian warriors were paid salaries to harass, rob, and shake down cargo ships for various European nations. Depending on who they contracted with, this of course also depended on which European nation their nation formed treaties with. Okay? Now, 76. Some black Indian warriors did not honor their nation's alliance with European powers and left their own nation and became freelance privateers or freelance pirates. They decided to work or contract for whomever, some even privateered for themselves. Okay? 77. Many black Indians went to Europe to receive pale-skin education. 78. Many black Indians not only attended pale-skin colleges and universities, but also enrolled into pale-skin military schools where they learned pale-skin warfare and taught pale-skins their own method of warfare. So not only did we betray ourselves, we shared our sacred information with the pale-skins to use it on ourselves. We was lame, man. We were lame. The Moors, we were lame back then. That's why we fell. Only lame niggas fall. We fell because we stopped believing in each other and we stopped being a unit. That's lame. Okay? 79. And I'm going to stop at 80 because I don't want to over this. But we're going to wrap this up in part 3 because from 80 to 103. You know what I'm saying? 79. Many black Indians who became thoroughly indoctrinated into pale-skin education and pale-skin religion came back to their homeland and helped pale-skins colonize their own people. Okay? Yeah, the Olympics is plagiarized. Let me write it down. If y'all want the y'all want the book, I'll be more than happy to email it to you. You just got to email me at suneluniversity@gmail.com and put in the subject 103 facts about black Indians. All right, that's the name of the book. So 79. Okay, so many black Indians who became thoroughly indoctrinated into pale-skin education and pale-skin religion came back to their homeland and helped pale-skins colonize their own people. So the same thing where we send our children to their schools and their colleges and they get a degree and they come back and they are helping the colonial system. They're not helping the indigenous peoples here. And 80. Many black Indians who became thoroughly indoctrinated into European lifestyle took on many black Indians who became thoroughly indoctrinated into European lifestyle took on European names and European titles such as military officers, clergymen, interpreters, or just plain businessmen. You know, with the suit and tie and all that shit. So this is how the Moorish Empire started to fall. All right. So I'm gonna stop at 80, fam. Got some duties to take care of and stuff within the house. I can feel it coming. So we will continue with part 3. Okay. next time. I don't know when, but when it happens, it'll happen. So this is part 2. Appreciate y'all. If you're interested in the book, email me at sunouniversity@gmail.com. Put in the subject 103 facts about Black Indians. I'll be happy to give that to you. As well as if you're interested in becoming a private member of Suno University, where there's tons of different things available to you. Email me also at sunouniversity at gmail.com. And just if you have any inquiries about the university membership, I will be more happy to relay all the information you need, and then we can go from there whether you want to proceed forward or not. All right. And if anything, if you feel like the time is worth anything, man, all donations and gifts always help. So if you wish, you can send anything, whatever you wish to donate via PayPal to suneluniversity@gmail.com. Everything is suneluniversity@gmail.com. Thank y'all, family. Love y'all. Happy Sunday. All right. And we will continue soon. Islam.